So there's a shotgun in Escape from Tarkov with a built-in thermal camera and a tiny little display that's always showing you a thermal image at all times, and nobody really uses it or really talks about it. And on this episode of Meme or Meta, we are going to be talking about the MP-155 Ultima and if it should be something that you should be running or if it should continue to get ignored. I'm Jessekazam. Welcome back to another Escape from Tarkov video. Before we dive in the video, I want to give a quick thank to the sponsor for this video, Skillshare. As I'm sure you know by now, Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes where you can come together with other people, learn new skills, explore creativity, and deepen existing passions. But I want to talk about how crazy it is that this exists, that we have the ability to learn basically anything we want to learn at our fingertips. And in today's world, that can be equally as exciting and inspiring and overwhelming. And Skillshare kind of comes in and bridges that gap. One of my favorite things that they're doing right now is partnering with YouTubers in teaching a lot of this stuff. Some of the classes that I have had the most fun taking were things like the photography class by Mango Street Labs, and even MKBHD has his own class on YouTube on how to script, shoot, and edit with MKBHD. The whole thing is curated specifically for learning, so there are no ads. They are always launching new classes, so it's all about keeping you focused on whatever you want to learn and wherever your creativity takes you. I'm super thankful and excited to be working with Skillshare, and super excited to announce that the first 1,000 people that sign up using the link below will get a 1-month free trial to their premium membership, and 1 month is plenty of time to learn some awesome stuff. So with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into the video. So, of course, we are talking about the MP-155 Ultima, this absolutely insane looking futuristic thermal shotgun. So what we're going to do is we're going to break this down like a normal meme or meta. We're going to talk about the gun, we're going to talk about the ammo, and then we are going to talk about what makes this thing special, that thermal camera, and if that is worth all of this other shenanigans. So the MP-155 Ultima is built on an MP-155. It's a new shotgun that was added to the game with the most recent wipe. You can purchase it at level 2 Jaeger for about 35,000 rubles. Obviously, you can get them off the flea market, but these are almost going to exclusively be really low durability weapons for not that much cheaper. Low durability is just going to destroy the accuracy and, it's going to malfunction more. So just buy a brand new one if you're, trying to build this anyway. The 155 is not anything special as far as a shotgun. It's semi-auto, which is nice, 12 gauge, but we've already got one of those in the MP-153, and because the MP-153's got a longer barrel, it's much more accurate. The MOA is about over double what an MP-153 is, and it's really just nothing crazy. Pretty standard 12 gauge semi-auto shotgun, but what makes it special, and it seems like why it was added to the game, was for this absolute craziness that is the Ultima version. So all this stuff is purchasable at level at Jaeger throughout all of his levels. It's kind of broken up into, you've got the pistol grip, and the pistol grip then has the extended stock, and then you can put a rubber butt pad on it, and then you put the thermal camera on it. You've got the handguard, and you've got the top rail as the mount, and then you kind of have this under barrel mount that you can mount more stuff on if you want, but then it's pretty much a normal shotgun, and all this stuff is going to be purchasable through Jaeger. At level 2, you've got the pistol grip, the extended stock, you've got the kind of handguard. At level 3, you've got the top rail and the recoil pads that go on the pistol grip, and then up at level 4, you've got the barter for the thermal camera, and these are, run about 30,000 rubles on the flea market. Now the whole deal here, after you buy the 35,000 rubles for the shotgun, it's about 100,000 rubles to get the thermal camera and all this stuff built up to here, and then whatever optic you want. So 150,000 rubles for a shotgun. This isn't definitely a budget gun. Totally up to you if you're going to think that's worth it, if you want to spend the money on that. And also, as a quick note, like we said, you don't have to suppress it. You can put any of the adapters on you want it. You can swap this out for a higher capacity mag. And I actually found that the 8-round mag actually works with the suppressor. For some reason, it shouldn't. You see how it sticks out, but you can kind of stick that on there. So you can kind of cheese in an 8-round mag with the suppressor if you wanted to do that. But it's pretty modular. We can briefly touch over some of the most common ammos for shotguns, just in case you're not super familiar with shotguns. Shotguns are definitely what I would say underrated. Now, if we're talking about spending 150,000 rubles on a thermal shotgun, that's one thing, but I think for the most part, shotguns are pretty underrated and underused, especially if you're on a budget. So we can start with AP-20. That's the big round. It's one of the most common rounds of the game. It's got 37 pen and 164 damage. One of the reasons why it's most common is because that 37 pen, you can absolutely crush armor, crush helmets, crush face shields. You need to get Jaeger up pretty high for this, and it's pretty expensive for a shotgun round. Flechette is used a lot as well. I like Flechette a lot because it's got 31 pen, So a really high pen for a shotgun shell, but it's got 8 pellets, 25 damage apiece. This helps you. I'm not very accurate. I'm not, especially with shotguns using slugs, I'm not super accurate. So flechettes are a great way to crunch through some armor. They're much, much cheaper. A lot of shotgun ammo across the board, by the way, got buffs with the most recent blunt damage and the bleed chance changes. So a lot of rounds like flechette now are going to be much more prone to causing bleeds, which is just another way to incapacitate your enemy. You got, 3 heavy bleeds. You kind of have to back up and heal. And then the 50 BMG, it's a slug. It's not great, 26 pen, but it's cheaper than AP20. And for a slug, 26 pen isn't terrible, 197 damage. As far as the buckshot rounds, the more flesh damage focused rounds, the 7mm buckshot, which you can get day 1, is actually pretty insane. 8 pellets, 39 damage per pellet. That's 312 damage. This is going to crush, shooting at legs, shooting at arms, shooting at the face of unarmored targets. Express is nice as well. It's got 1 more pellet. It's got a little bit less damage from 39 down to 35, but it's got an additional pellet, which means just 1 more chance to get maybe a face shot or something like that with that spray. Magnum buckshot is insane. It's huge. It's 8 pellets, 50 damage per. That's 400 damage if you hit obviously all the pellets, and it's really, really cheap from Jaeger if you have the Jaeger level. 53 rubles a round. This is an absolute monster of a round if you can hit most of these pellets. And then of course you've got the classic Rip round. Rip has 265 damage in 1 single slug. You hit someone in the legs, the arms, they are going to absolutely be destroyed. It only has like 3 pens, so any armor is going to stop this, but it is an absolute monster. I think this is only found in raid. You can't buy this from trader, but it's not very expensive. But so those are the kind of shotgun rounds. Like we said, they've seen kind of a buff because of the blunt damage changes, the bleed changes. There are quite a few shotgun rounds that are incredibly viable, and they are really inexpensive relative to basically any other round in the games. So you've got your 150,000 ruble shotgun, you got your ammo picked out. How does this work? So we can kind of just throw some ammo in here real quick and throw this in the hideout. So the way that this works is you're always going to have this thermal camera up at all times. You don't have to ADS to see it. You can kind of just walk around and you'll see this thermal image being displayed all the time. You ADS, you get a little bit better view down right below. You control right click and you can pull it closer and basically make the thermal camera your main sight. Because of that, you're kind of pulling off axis with your hollow or your red dot. You're not really going to be able to use that. This is totally going to be up to you. I'm not going to spend 10 minutes really talking about this. This is totally going to be a preference thing. In my experience, as I was doing research, it's nothing but a distraction, really. Of course, you can make an argument for anything in the game. You can make an argument that this, could provide valuable information. You could see somebody in a bush. You could see something that you wouldn't have otherwise seen. In my opinion, splitting my attention, I couldn't really get over splitting my attention between the optic and between the thermal sight. The thermal sight's got a low refresh rate. It's not very big, but it's there and you want to look at it. Everything you see some loot and it shows up and you're like, oh, what was that? And it kind of pulls me away from looking at my surroundings and actually spotting enemies that way. The range on it isn't insane either. So to me, my verdict on this in the meme or meta video is that it is a meme. This thing, for the most part, is just distracting and it doesn't really provide an insane amount of value. Now, like you said, and I even have some clips of me using this thing and actually me using it to spot an enemy that I might not have spotted before in Shoreline with the darker hallways or something like that. But at the end of the day, it pulls my attention away most of the time. And even if you have this with like iron sights or something like that, if you take the optic off, it just feels like you have to point the gun high in order to get a sight picture on somebody's head. And then you're shooting over their head. It just feels weird. You can use a little crosshair reticle there. And it's not that it's inherently inaccurate, but it just ends up being hard to see, hard to focus, and I end up missing a lot of things going on in my surroundings. So that is the MP-155 Ultima. We broke down the price, we broke down the ammo, and we kind of showed how the thermal camera works. Like I said, it's totally up to you. I think it's awesome. I think stuff like this, it's fun and cool to have in the game. It's not super practical. It's not something that I'm going to continue to spend, 150 to 200,000 rubles on. But if you're like me and you like using different guns and you just like, challenging yourself to like use different equipment, It is a really cool experience to have the little thermal camera, to have the little futuristic shotgun. Like I said, I feel like shotguns and shotgun rounds are generally underrated. So there is, just because I would call this a meme doesn't mean that you can't be pretty proficient with it. So hopefully this helped. Hopefully this kind of broke down what this is, how you get all these parts, and gives you enough information for you to decide if you want to use this thing to wreck some PMCs in Escape from Tarkov. Thank you again, as always, for taking the time to check out this video. If you liked the video, think about dropping a like, commenting down below, or subscribing to the channel for more content like this. I stream Escape from Tarkov on Twitch. All my links will be down below. I would love to have you stop by and say hey. And if you're looking for people to play Tarkov with, our Discord server is an awesome place to be, with over 10,000 members, Sherpa programs, really cool stuff like that. That link is down below as well. Thank you again for stopping by, and I will definitely see y'all on the next one.